Brandis, dating and relationships can be complicated in normal times, so imagine how complicating the last 2 years of a pandemic and lockdowns have been. Some relationships might have grown stronger, others might have left each partner looking at the other wondering, who is this person? Our next guest diagnoses how a virus swooped in and infected our love lives, for better or worse. In her new book, Love in the Time of Contagion, a diagnosis. And joining us is author and Northwestern University Professor Emeritus Laura Kipnis. Laura Kipnis, thanks for being here with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so the big broad question at the top, how have relationships changed as a result of the pandemic?
Well, I started out talking about my own relationship. I had written a book ranting about domesticity and domestic coupledom a while ago called Against Love. And there I found myself, I had been in one of those long-term living apart but together kinds of relationships, and found myself squashed together with my boyfriend in a one-bedroom New York apartment once the lockdown started. So I started out from that point and realizing, you know, as you were saying, you can know someone completely well and also know them not at all. So I think there were a lot of realizations that people came to like that. And the pandemic also was this opportunity for so much neurosis to play out. I mean, I think we were all projecting our anxieties onto each other, and, you know, it was an opportunity for a lot of psychodrama and, you know, realizations about relationships, you know, because I think in the same way that the pandemic sort of held a microscope up to the country and exposed all of this stuff, these ruptures and inequities, I think it held a microscope up to our relationships too. And so that was insight number one.
And you both jokingly referred to each other as cellmates at one point. So if I may ask, what happened to your relationship?
Yeah, and one of us said to the other, "I love you, but I can barely stand you." You know, we had, you know, I think what you would call a sustainable neurotic pact. And I think that's, you know, in my view, like maybe the best you can hope for is that your neuroses kind of mesh in some way that's both interesting and keeps things alive. So I think that was my situation. But, you know, I think it can also put you sort of on the brink or the edge of collapse. And, you know, I do think that happened to a lot of people also. Like if you just started not to be able to stand the other person.
Did you learn anything by writing this book on how the pandemic affected people going into it single versus going into it as a couple?
Well, one of the things that happened, you know, during lockdown was Zoom. And I ended up having these very sustained conversations with other people that I didn't maybe know that well. One of them was a former student of mine who is Black, queer, millennial, and was doing like all sorts of dating online during lockdown and hooking up and, you know, having these relationships and moving on to other relationships. So, you know, there was the millennial style, which I came to realize was very chaotic. You know, there was, particularly because everything was playing out online at the same time as it was playing out in your private life. So there was that style of pandemic coupledom. And then, you know, I actually did a survey at the beginning when I started writing this book and got a lot of responses from other people. And I think some people were, you know, really long-term couples started to realize how much they did appreciate each other. And other people realized that they were partnered with somebody with some version of like OCD or some other kind of, or narcissism or some other kind of, you know, diagnosable personality disorder. So there was just a range, I think, of stuff. And substance abuse issues, I will add, it was a big thing.
Substance abuse, domestic abuse. You know, your book comes out as this study just came out showing that singlehood is higher than ever, couplehood is down, sex is down. Oddly enough, divorce is also down. What do you make of these trends? And are they all influenced by COVID, or was this already happening?
Well, sex was down among young people, which is the kind of weird thing. And, you know, I also talked about the context of the post-Me Too era and how that's affected heterosexuality. And I think particularly young people, I mean, weirdly, as I say, older people are having more sex and couple people are having more sex than young single people. I don't think it used to be that way. But I think there's so much contradiction and tension in the heterosexual sphere and fear of doing the wrong thing, and politicizing of sexual kinds of contact and mores. So I think there's that going on. I think as far as divorce, I think we won't know for a while because the courts were shut down for a while, and the dust is still settling. And of course, a lot of people were hit economically by all of this and are stuck together for economic reasons. So I think we're still, as I say, the dust is still settling on this.
So at some point there might be a rush on divorces. So I want to go back to that intimacy thing because you bring up a really interesting point with Me Too and how that might affect younger heterosexual couples. With regards to intimacy, are there precautions that are irrational versus rational?
I mean, one of the things I was interested in, the book is Love in the Time of Contagion as opposed to just COVID. So I was interested in the way that I think love, and the sense of contagion and other people being kind of harmful to us had been building for a while, even before this virus hit. And I do think it was also a kind of post-AIDS HIV turnaround, after this free-for-all of the sexual revolution in the 70s and early 80s, much more like the rise of a kind of suspicion and fear and moralism and which I see in my own students, and sex can kill you. So all of that, I wonder, and it makes me wonder what the after effect of COVID is going to be. It's at these deeper levels, the kind of subliminal levels that we don't entirely know yet, how it will affect us, in our psyches.
All subjects for a possible follow-up book. All right, Laura Kipnis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
And again, the book is called Love in the Time of Contagion, A Diagnosis. You can read an excerpt on our website.